You know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
I don't think you guys walk away from this.
You just make sure people know what happened here today. And when you get out of here,
You let people know what happened here today. Well, welcome to another episode of Bad Cinema. Today we got a pretty cool episode, and I'm just going to bring on my co-host. We may have another co-host coming on soon. He's running behind, but I figured we'd go ahead and start because we're about 15 minutes behind, all the way from the great Pacific Northwest, home of Bigfoot and Mount St. Helens and grunge music. Let me welcome my friend Aaron, Psychotronic.
What up? What up, Matthew? Thanks for having me here, man. I love it.
I should have said for the Pacific Northwest by way of New England. But, you know what I mean.
I am from back east, so we'll tell you it's straight. Most of us will tell you it's straight. You know.
What up, y'all? I had an uncle that lived in Connecticut. I can't remember what part, but he worked at a factory up there before he retired. He was my great uncle.
Yeah,
he was actually in the 82nd Airborne. He was in Normandy.
Nice.
Hey Jay, we're doing good. I hope you're doing
Jay?
good, man. It's always good to see Jay Thompson.
Yeah, man.
I like the how he's got the squirrel with the Pepsi logo because he loves his Pepsi. I used to love Pepsi too, but I got a little fat, so I had to kind of go.
Yeah, I don't drink soda now. I don't drink soda.
Today we're going to be reviewing for Bad Cinema. I don't know if you could tell from the background.
I like
Cobra,
when he says that line.
Starring Sylvester Stallone and Brigitte Nielsen. Yeah, crime is a disease. Meet the cure. All right. But this movie is just like what it is about like it's an hour and yeah, there you go, George. Thank you, man. There you go. What it is basically it's about 86 degrees here in Kentucky and very humid, very humid. The humidity level is pretty damn high. Now this is what this movie is like it's Stallone trying to show off and look tough in front of his wife at the time, Brigitte Nielsen, basically for like an hour and 20 minutes of him brooding, and there's an interesting backstory. There's some interesting backstory information about this film, and there's some pretty like legendary there's a legendary character actor involved in this movie who was in this movie because Cobra is Stallone basically admitted he was influenced by Dirty Harry. Let's admit he probably tried to rip it off here. And if you remember the real, I can't remember the actor's name. We'll look it up in a minute. But you remember the guy that was the real psycho, like sniper killer that was supposed to be like the Zodiac killer in Dirty Harry?
Yeah.
The real scumbag. That guy's in this movie.
I love the premise of this, though, because there's like a huge gang of like neo-anarchists who are
he's kind of like a pseudo. He's like a pseudo Night Stalker, right?
Yeah, and they want to take out all the weak people. They just want to kill them.
The only thing he liked about it was the car. That is a car. That is an engineered car. I'll give you some information about that. It's a 50 Mercury, and it was actually Sylvester Stallone's. He owned that car. They made a couple of like different ones for action scenes because obviously Stallone was not going to let him hurt his car, because it is a nice car. And they totally trashed the stunt car in this movie, if you remember. It totally gets trashed. And it's got his he had met Brigitte Nielsen on the set of Rocky IV, and she was dating Dolph Lundgren, I think. And then they broke up, and he started going out where they got married a few months before principal photography for this movie Cobra came about. And the one thing I will tell you about Brigitte Nielsen is she's got an iconic look. She's a very tall, Nordic-looking, like very beautiful woman. She was in Red Sonja. I thought she was great in Red Sonja. I think maybe some of the acting could have been better, but I mean, I don't think that acting was her first profession. I'm pretty sure she started out as a model.
Yeah.
But she's got that look, especially in the 80s. She's got that. And I remember she was in Beverly Hills Cop too. I just thought she was like, she's like an Amazon. Look at some still shots of her in the,
don't you love the video montages and the 80s music in this movie?
Yeah, like the part where they're on the street looking for the killer. And you got that Robert Tepper song, in the background.
It's like crazy. I mean, look at that.
being photographed in front of robots.
And they're cheesy robots too.
Yeah, they're really lame.
With music so bad, it's so good, you know?
But yeah, she had like she's a pretty beautiful woman, wasn't she? I thought.
Yeah, she's very beautiful. And all you got to do is put your trench coat on, some glasses, your leather.
Put a stick in your mouth, right?
Yeah.
And act like a badass. Yeah.
Yeah, have a
That's
stick
what the
match
80s
in
is
your
all
mouth.
about. Yeah.
Have a stick match in your mouth, you know? And then you use it.
All right, Jay.
You know? All right, Jay. See you, man.
She's all legs, not much more in my opinion. That's all right. Well, I think she's kind of hot though. I like the tall women. I'm kind of tall myself.
She's
so.
beautiful, right? At different types of women out there.
Different strokes for different folks, right? All right. It's like the all right. Anyway, I'm going to try to. Aaron, I don't know if I can play the trailer. If you lose me, if something happens, I'm not on the. Just if you don't mind, ad lib a little bit.
Oh yeah, we'll ad lib about Cobra, baby.
I was hoping we can have somebody help me here with this, but they're not here today. So
it's like these plans. You got to upgrade the plan in order to get more than one person that could get on the controls. You know, they want more money.
Yeah, I do have that, but okay, here it is. It came up pretty quick this time. Let's see what happens.
All right.
This is the trailer.
Society is breeding a new kind of.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. I love the music. It's just so bad, so it's so good.
It's also breeding a new kind of cock.
I gotta mute it.
It's the best copy, but the trailers are the best part sometimes. Sometimes the trailers are better than the movies, themselves.
I can't believe they had the music all the way through the damn thing.
What was up with the clanking of the axes and stuff? Remember that?
Yeah, we're just gonna watch it on mute, okay? Because I came in.
Okay. Hey, what's up, Jeff?
We had to put the trailer on mute because there's like a song all the way through it, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, you never know what they're gonna flag you on.
But it's just like your typical 80s schlock. This is like an 80s schlock movie.
Yeah, schlock. And
I'm glad Jeff's here. I'm glad Jeff's here because he was a law enforcement officer. He's retired, and he could probably clue us in on a little bit of or a lot of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stallone is Cobra.
Stallone. So is your mic working, Jeff?
Okay. So
is your mic working, my man?
Not working.
Your mic's not working. So the thing about Cobra is that it's a total blatant ripoff Dirty Harry, but these movies were happening in the 80s, right? You had all kinds of, just like vigilantes.
Crime is getting so out of control and there's only one loose cannon police officer who can stop it all, right?
Yeah.
We lost him. He'll be back.
And that's Cobra.
And Dirty Harry, he doesn't play by the rules, and it's he wants to be a loner. It's you never see him he got one partner, but in this movie, but he doesn't really want to, I don't know, and Eastwood didn't want to be tied down by police procedure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And in the 80s, bullets bounce off of cars for some reason.
Yeah. And also, a car can crash and just burst into flames and explode.
So if someone has you in his scopes, like this movie, and you duck down behind the car door or something, it's or whatever it is, that's it. You're out of range. You're out of shot.
Oh yeah, I know. Or just it's kind of ridiculous.
But it's a great premise because you have these ridiculous neo-anarchists. I still don't understand it, but they were clanking. Remember, they were clanking the axes together and stuff. And
you know what, Stallone, I think he just wrote this movie so he could have 15 or 20 one-liners in it, you know, because that's all he does. There are so many one-liners in this movie.
I like the one line I liked was, "We're the future." He goes, "No, you're history."
Yeah. Or like the one where the guy, he pours gas on him and goes, "You have the right to remain silent." Drops the match on him.
Yeah, that's the match that he always had in his mouth the whole time. Like, why did he have this?
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. Are you going to read the Wikipedia? The Wikipedia?
Yeah, I was waiting on Jeff to see if he could get his microphone working.
How did Jeff do it last time?
I don't know. How did you do it last time?
You know, he's working it. He's got it.
He's working his magic.
Yeah. Dude.
All right. Well, they changed the format on here on StreamYard again. Well, we'll play this one real quick. Just like
it's cool, Jeff.
The intro.
It's cool.
Like,
Reboot,
if you hear like Springsteen, it's like, I mean, he sounds like not Springsteen, Stallone. He talks like this. There's a murder every 15 seconds.
And the other cops who are trying to go by the book, he'll just punch them and
he's like, screw you. I'll see whoever I want. Right, here you go.
There's a burglary every 11 seconds. An armed robbery every 65 seconds. A violent crime every 25 seconds.
Yeah, he's just had enough. You know?
A vibe every 5 seconds. Hell yeah. Okay. All right. We'll go with the Wikipedia then.
Okay,
right,
great. It's one of my favorite parts.
We're going to go through the Wikipedia now.
Yeah, dude.
Hey,
I like
stream on YouTube. Yeah. Hey, Aaron, there's a stream on YouTube about movies every 55 seconds. All right. Cobra is a 1986 American action film directed by George P. Cosmatos. And if you don't know familiar with George P. Cosmatos, he was credited as the director of Tombstone, even though, as you'll see here, he's a problematic person because basically Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer had to direct this movie like secretively. You know what I mean? Because they weren't literally allowed to direct it. They weren't being paid to direct Tombstone. But he was so bad at his job that they had to take and I think Michael Biehn, who played Johnny Ringo, said he at one point said, "Don't even effing talk to me, dude," because he come up to like this whole thing. So it's written by Sylvester Stallone, who stars in the titular role as Marion. His name is Marion Cobretti. Yes, I'm not making that up. His name is Marion Cobretti, and I believe that he got the Marion name from John Wayne. You know, John Wayne's real name was like Marion or something.
Huh.
He stars in the titular role. The film was loosely based on the 1974 novel A Running Duck by Paul Gosling, later published as Fair Game and filmed under the title in 1995. Co-stars Renee Santoni, Brigitte Nelson, Andrew Robinson. Okay, here's Brigitte. We got to see it. It'll bring up a picture of her. That's what she looks like now. Renee Santoni. I believe he was in the Dirty Harry films too. Yeah, he was in Dirty Harry. So he cast two guys that were in Dirty Harry. And then Andrew Robinson, if you remember, Andrew Robinson is the actor who was in like Dirty Harry. He was the psycho killer guy. Yeah. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, is this the same guy that was in Deep Space Nine, Aaron?
I don't remember. I'm not the hugest Trekkie, but
it follows the Los Angeles Police Lieutenant.
It might have been
Marion Cobra Cabretti, who investigates a string of violent crimes and also protects a witness targeted by the perpetrators. Cobra is the final film which featured the collaboration between Stallone and Brigitte Nelson after Rocky IV in 1985 and until Creed II 2018. The only film the pair are both featured in while married to one another in real life. Before their divorce, which happened a year later, by the way, the script was largely inspired by Stallone's original script that he wrote for Beverly Hills Cop in 1984. Cobra was released to generally negative reviews with criticism on its excessive violence and overuse of genre tropes. But it was a box office success and also has since been considered as a cult classic. In the plot, a mass shooting at a supermarket evolves into a hostage crisis. The LAPD summons Lieutenant Marion Cobra Cabretti of their elite zombie squad.
Yeah.
To resolve the incident, Cabretti confronts the shooter, who espouses social Darwinist ideals and mentions what he calls a new world order. Cabretti kills him before he can execute a group of hostages. Detective Monty reprimands Cabretti for disregarding police procedure, and Cabretti admonishes a group of reporters for not prioritizing the safety of the victims.
That's right.
Unbeknownst to the authorities of the supermarket incident is part of a string of violent crimes committed by a group called the New World, a cult that despises modern society and believes in killing the weak, leaving only the strongest and smartest to rule.
The New World.
Ingrid Knudsen, a local model and businesswoman, becomes the New World's priority target after she witnesses the group and their leader, the Night Slasher, on a killing spree.
Nice.
Of course, in the Night Slasher thing, I'm sure that they kind of like that. See, during the 80s of this time, there was a killer in LA at loose at the time, and his nickname was the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez.
Yeah.
And so it put like a blanket of fear throughout the city for like months and months.
Yeah.
Until he's finally caught. I say that character is very inspired by that. Okay. Now we'll get to the cast and crew again. Sylvester Stallone is as Lieutenant Marion Cobra Cabretti. Brigitte Nelson is Ingrid Knudsen. I guess it's Knudsen. Renee Santoni is Sergeant Tony Gonzalez. Andrew Robinson as Detective Monty. Brian Thompson is the Night Slasher. John Hersfeld as Cho. Lee Garrington as the officer as Officer Nancy Stalk. Art LaFleur as Captain Sears. Marco Rodriguez as the supermarket killer. Ross St. Philip as security guard. Val Avery as Chief Hallowell. David Rosh as Dan, and Nick Ngati as Verdisky. Development and writing for this movie. When Sylvester Stallone was signed to play the lead in Beverly Hills Cop, you got that right. He was assigned to play the lead.
Wow.
He was signed to play the lead. He decided to rewrite the script almost completely, removing nearly all the comedic aspects and turning it into an action movie that he felt was better suited to him.
Yeah.
The studio read his revised script and completely rejected it.
Yeah.
Proposed action scenes would have increased the budget far beyond what they had planned. Stallone later channeled this idea for it into an original script. When Stallone left Beverly Hills Cop, Eddie Murphy was brought in to play the lead role.
There you go.
And thank God for that, because can you imagine Beverly Hills Cop without Eddie Murphy in it now?
Yeah, it wouldn't have been the same movie.
I really can't. I can't imagine it.
No, I can't.
Yeah, Dirty's saying he was Garrick, and he was Garrick in Deep Space Nine. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Let's continue here. The novel Running Duck by Paul Gosling was cited as source material enough so that she received a screen credit in the movie. Stallone's early draft of the script contained many differences from the later drafts in the final film. These included the opening shootout taking place in a movie theater instead of a supermarket, during which many more people are killed. Cobra mentioning how he had a girlfriend who was killed by a psychopath he was trying to catch, and an additional nighttime action sequence on a boat where Cobra and Ingrid are hiding and are attacked by the Night Slasher's cultists was cut, where Gonzalez managing to kill them all, and a different ending in which Monty is revealed to actually be the leader of the New World and attempts to kill Ingrid at the last second before being killed by Cabretti.
Yeah.
Stallone stated that he saw his character as the Bruce Springsteen with a badge. I wonder how much cocaine it took to write this script. The line, "This is where the law stops and I start, sucker," was inspired by a line spoken by Steve McQueen in the film The Reapers. Cobra needed much additional editing because the film was so graphically violent that it originally received an X rating.
Wow.
It was edited down to receive an R rating. In casting, Brian Thompson auditioned 7 times before he was hired as the Night Slasher character. On the 4th audition, he met Stallone, who thought that Thompson was too nice to play the Night Slasher. But after a screen test, he immediately got the job. Yeah. Also, in the original script, the Night Slasher was called Abandon, possibly after the Angel of Abyss from the Bible. Thompson repeatedly sought Stallone's advice about how to play the Night Slasher, including questions about his background and personal motivations, but Stallone showed no interest in the subject and told Thompson that his character was simply evil.
Yeah.
See, he didn't really care about it. This was a vehicle for him to look like a badass,
Yeah. Now this Night Slasher actor.
I think Stallone's ego was out of control because
Come on,
because he just come off Rocky IV, such a success, the Rambo films. He was like a box office gold at that point.
Yep.
It says that Stallone acknowledged that doesn't make it right that he was egomaniac, but I think he's kind of calmed down now. But I think when we get older, we realize when we're younger, our ego gets out of control.
Yeah. I haven't walked in his shoes, so you got to walk in someone's shoes.
Yeah,
really.
Stallone acknowledged that Dirty Harry is an influence, and Cobra reunited two actors from the film, Renee Santoni and Andy Robinson, as I said earlier. Brigitte Nielsen, Stallone's then wife, who he had met filming Rocky IV, was cast as Ingrid, as we said earlier. Originally, Cobra was supposed to be filmed in Seattle, Washington.
Wow.
Climaxing with a big motorcycle chase scene on a ferry between the islands. Even though everything was prepared to start filming the final theatrical version of the scene at night, Stallone demanded the ending be changed because of the mosquito problem at the time, which would have made nighttime filming very difficult to endure.
Right.
There's also it says here that supporting cast and extras were forbidden from, I got to start over because we got a lot of people here.
That's
the supporting cast and extras were forbidden from talking to Stallone on the set. Can you believe
there
that?
You go.
That's very egotistical. At one point,
he's there to do a job. He ain't there to,
I know, but you'd think you'd want to talk to him about like what to do. I don't know.
He ain't the director.
At one point during filming, Stallone complained to the cinematographer Rick Waite that they were falling behind, that he needed to push his crew to work harder.
That's right. Crack that whip, dude. Stallone ain't having it, you guys. He's got a big budget to do. He's got to be this Cobra character, which is kind of a cool character, but it's been done so many times, All right, are you back, Matt? Are you back? Like this is a comic book character that you could see, like, not vigilante, but a hitman in DC Comics or something like that, even though they're not exactly the same as that outward image, All right, you're back. Cool.
Are we good? All right.
Yeah. All right.
It says here that he complained to cinematographer Rick Waite that they were falling behind, that he needed to push his crew to work harder. Waite responded by telling Stallone that the delays were due to his fooling around with Brigitte Nielsen and showing off in front of his bodyguards. Although Stallone was shocked that somebody would talk to him that way, he cleaned up his act and behaved more professionally. Although he returned to his more egocentric behavior a few weeks later, Waite later said in an interview that despite his huge ego, Stallone had a great sense of humor.
Sure.
He said that director George P. Cosmatos would have made a great producer, but he was terrible at being a director. During a stunt scene, driver Terry Rizal and another stuntman were injured after Rizal intentionally crashed a van into a wall. Nielsen was nearly hit by the van during a previous take. For the Night Slasher's monologue and the lead up to the final fight, Brian Thompson did the scene with the script supervisor standing in for Stallone, who was busy watching a basketball game on TV. The custom 1950 Mercury driven by Cobretti was actually owned by Stallone. The studio produced stunt doubles of the car for use in some of the action sequences, such as the jump from the second floor of the parking garage. The production built 3 Cobra cars for stunt work. Although they were identical on the outside, their moving parts were designed for specific sequences involving high-speed swipes with other vehicles, 180-degree turns, jumps, and 360 spins. The knife used by the Night Slasher was made for the film by knife designer Herman Schneider. Sylvester Stallone asked Schneider to create a knife that audiences would never forget. Cobretti uses a custom Colt Gold Cup National Match 1911 modified the chamber 9 by 19 millimeter Parabellum. Later in the film, he used a Jetomatic submachine gun. The first rough cut was over 2 hours long. The closest estimated original running time was over 130 minutes. It was then shortened to a roughly 2-hour director's cut, which was intended to be released in theaters. However, after Top Gun became a smash hit, Stallone and Warner Brothers were worried that Cobra, which would premiere the following week, would be overshadowed. So in order to ensure at least one extra screening each day, the movie was heavily re-edited.
Yeah.
He removed much of the plot and scenes involving characters other than his own, of course. Warner Brothers also demanded that the more graphic scenes be cut down or removed entirely because they were too intense and that some action scenes had to be cut.
That's cool.
The musical score was composed by Sylvester Levy. An audio cassette and vinyl version was released on September 21st, 1986, followed by a CD, which was released in 1992 as the original motion picture soundtrack. Stan Bush's song "The Touch," that was in the Transformers movie, was originally written for Cobra. It is said "Feel the Heat" was overheard during the filming of its music video by John Bavour when they were editing in the same building complex, and was added because Stallone loved the song.
Yeah,
and there's the track listing, and
I like the music too. I'm a mark for that crazy '80s music, man. It's just
it made $15.7 million its opening weekend. It eventually went on to gross $160 million, over 6 times its estimated $25 million budget, according to the New York Times.
Yeah,
The film was still considered a disappointment because its $48 million at the box office in the U.S. did not live up to the success of Rambo.
right.
Critical response on Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 17% based on 23 reviews, with an average rating of 3.4 out of 10. The website consensus reads: a disengaged Sylvester Stallone plays the titular role of Cobra with no bite in his leaden action thriller. He's only fixated on wanton carnage and nothing else. At Metacritic, the film was weighted at an average score of 25 out of 100 based on 9 critics indicating general unfavorable reviews. TV Guide stated that Stallone's character is an empty hulk. The few attempts to provide us with little insight into his character are downright laughable.
Yeah.
Nina Darton of the New York Times opined that the film pretends to be against the wanton violence of a disintegrating society, but it's really the hypothesis of that violence.
Yeah,
it shows such contempt for the most basic American values. Vincent Canby called it disturbing for the violence it portrays, the ideas it represents, and the large number of people who will undoubtedly go to see it and cheer on its dangerous hero. So anyway,
it's cool though. I like that he's a stereotype. You know, I think it's funny.
Yeah,
and that the whole thing is that
there's Jeff. I'm sorry, I didn't see Jeff come in.
Hey, Jeff.
I think I finally got it working. Yeah.
There you go, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that like the Wikipedia summed it up pretty good with that guy who reviewed it. It's supposedly against, collapsing society that's too violent, and yet it almost like dignifies it by the portrayal of the movie.
I know it kind of just like glorifies it though. At the end of the day, I mean,
yeah, it does, especially that last scene where he just puts him on the hook.
And I'm glad that Jeff's here because Jeff actually worked in law enforcement. He didn't pretend to play act on TV or in the silver screen.
Thanks for your service, dude.
Jeff, how many police procedures and rules were broken by marrying Cobra Cobretti in this film?
Well, the rules are not broken unless you get caught. No, yeah, about all of them. Just about all of them.
That's about all of them. Yeah.
If there's a situation like at the first up with that market, the supermarket, and the guys in there with people hostage, are they really going to let one police officer go in there like that, just like John Wayne?
Most cop movies that you watch, and there's a hostage situation, you see what exactly the cops don't do, won't do.
Yeah,
we have a whole separate. You go to a whole training. We have hostage negotiation teams, but and nobody goes in there. I have no weapons. I got nothing on me. I just want to talk. They don't do that shit.
Yeah, I know. That would be crazy because you're basically giving them one more hostage, right?
Yeah, you got 2 hostages now.
You're giving them an extra hot and a police officer to boot.
Nerdy geeks onto something here. Sly was trying to compete with Arnold. During that period of time, those kind of movies were doing well.
Those two guys hated each other.
They were rivals for sure.
Well, I can see why they're competing in the same market.
And Arnold would do movies that kind of resembled him. And he hated his movies.
But Stallone's been in great movies. Rocky was great,
yes, Rambo was great.
This one was a turd, just a turd.
Also, it's just him brooding for an hour and 20 minutes.
as soon as the director or whoever said, "Hey, you gotta put this matchstick in your mouth," I'd have been like, "Nope, I'm out."
Now he was the
See
one
ya.
probably calling that. See, I think this was.
Oh, if he
I
came up
believe
with it,
that-
oh,
I believe George Cosmatos, the director, was just there to facilitate Sylvester Stallone's vision of what he wanted. He wanted this movie to make him look good. This was an ego trip because at the time there's been several reports, like especially by the guy that played the night slasher, Brian, what's his name, Thompson.
Yeah.
He said he didn't even want to rehearse with him. He didn't want the crew weren't allowed to talk to him. The other cast members were not allowed to talk to him. Like when he does that speech at the end where he's like, "You want to burn, pig?" When he's got the knife out. Stallone wasn't even there. He was too busy watching a basketball game on TV to be bothered to be in the scene. So Brian Thompson had to do it with a stand-in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like,
What was that guy? Was that guy in X-Files? The Brian Thompson guy there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Because he was super familiar.
He was actually pretty good at like being a psychopath, though. But like when he talked, like it's funny. So you see a lot of background. Like Stallone didn't really care about anything except his character, because when Brian Thompson asked him, "What is my character's motivation? What's his background? Why is he doing?" And Stallone's like, "Oh, he's just evil."
Oh yeah,
Like, he just wanted like a monster to kill, like a dragon to slay, right? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't have time for people back then.
But I'm telling you what, the guy earlier is similar to me. Like at the time period that this movie was made, like I said, that Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker, was running around L.A. terrorizing Southern California.
Yeah.
So I believe that was probably loosely inspired as well. And also probably the Hillside Strangler, because there was two of those guys.
Didn't Night Stalker have some Northern California victims too? Because I remember, I think I was like third or fourth
he did
grade.
a few in San Francisco. Yeah.
And I remember seeing the news stories. And I'm a little kid, man. Then I'm trying to sleep at night, and every time I hear a click or a bump, I'm like, "Is that motherfucker coming through the window?"
And that's what was scary about him, was like his MO was to go in through windows at night.
Yeah,
that were unlocked.
That's crazy.
Freaked me out.
So like
every kid's nightmare too.
And you also had what they call the Golden. They coined him later the Golden State Killer, which has been active for, I don't know. That was usually 70s, early 80s, but
and he finally
got popped thanks to the effort of a few actually some true crime detectives, but the police really did it. But like there were some people that had theorized that he was a police officer or had been. And unfortunately,
people don't realize that most departments, unless they're really super, super tiny, most departments have a cold case unit that is constantly researching any murder case that has not been solved, even if it goes back to like 1941. They open it, they read the whole thing, they try to find some thread to pull at. They never stop.
So even if the Los Angeles Police Department, for example, say they got some new information on a case as old as like the Black Dahlia, they would probably go and see if of course everybody that's involved that were around then has probably passed away. But
that was crazy. The Black Dahlia.
They could, that one's kind of a scary one. That
one's super scary.
Well, there's another one of those though, kind of like the Zodiac, where they never got anybody convicted for it, but they suspect they know who did it.
Yeah.
But they're long since passed away.
But there's all kinds of weird conspiracy theories around that one too, man.
Man, that Golden State Killer situation, that was a big W, man.
Like it
that
could
was
have been
awesome.
a satanic cult. I heard that.
Yeah.
I've even heard Anton the
the 80s was satanic panic time.
Got to suspect that like was something to do with it. So I don't know.
Yeah, freaking because Richard Ramirez, I mean, to be able to,
you guys want to see some
I was just saying he was like the ultimate and scary because like the caricatures that the police were putting out.
Yeah.
He was like had that weird hair and sunglasses, and they said he had like rotting teeth and just all this stuff. And I'm like,
true horror.
Is this the devil? And they're talking about how
he wear an AC/DC hat. Yeah.
He would smear like pentagrams and shit in blood on the wall or whatever.
No good, you guys. No good, man. All that stuff.
And he would have pentagrams on his hand too, like in court.
Yeah, just
and he told them like when they killed him, he said,
I'm drawn to those stories as mysteries, but they're true horror. You know.
Yeah.
There's a great documentary about the Night Stalker on Netflix. It came out about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But he said what he said in court after they convicted him and sentenced him to death. He told the judge in the courtroom, "Death's not the end. I'll see you all at Disney World or Disneyland. Hail Satan."
Yeah,
that was his last words to the courtroom.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So
I don't
you
want
want guys like Cobra around, you know?
Yeah, I don't want to hear.
Although Cobra would never keep. Cobra could never keep his job in the real. He'd be arrested.
No, he would be fired immediately.
You know, but you need guys like that.
Because
I like his one-liners.
If somebody actually went into a situation like that supermarket by themselves, they would probably ended up dead.
Yeah,
and killed everybody in there. Well, let's play a few clips. Speaking of the grocery supermarket.
Hopefully, there's.
Hey, pal. Can I help you? Hey, pal.
Hey, pal. What are you doing, pal? You can't do that.
Hey, pal, why are you wearing a black beanie and a black pea coat?
In the middle of like,
are you the villain?
Southern California in the summer.
Yeah.
It's
so
cool.
Then, he goes in there and starts shooting up the place. And
it's just a crazy story.
So then they're like, you hear that one of the police officers in charge of the scene say, "Call the Cobra."
Call the Cobra.
Oh God!
Time to check out the New World guys.
And he's in an elite group. Jeff called the Zombie Squad.
The Zombie Squad, yeah.
Totally. Cops. These departments have the Zombie Squad.
Chewing on his matchstick.
And what I love is and not only does he go in there, he announces his presence as soon as he gets to the grocery store. Gets on the speaker or the loudspeaker and tells him, "Hey, dirtbag.
Hey, dirtbag. You're a lousy shot. I don't like lousy shots. You wasted a kid."
Like you want him to be a good shot?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Oh, you're a lousy shot. Freaking another shot at me. He could have got a hostage killed right there, couldn't he, Jeff?
That's how tough he was.
All right, screw you. I'm going to retaliate and kill one of these hostages now.
Yeah, here's another one. Here's another dead one.
Yeah, that's how tough he was, though. He's like, he didn't care. You know?
Hey.
He doesn't like a lousy shot. Hey, Madam's here, Stephanie.
Love Madam. It's my homie.
Yeah, it looks like this was a Sly Stallone ego project or something.
It was. I'm sure
the
he was
one-liners were great. Like, oh my God, you know.
Oh, well,
you seem so angry. You seem so angry.
Speaking of one-liners, Aaron, here we're getting ready to get into a few of them.
Okay.
Here's one of the first ones. They come in rapid succession in this movie.
Okay.
So you better keep your head on a swivel.
I don't deal with psychos. I put them away.
I don't deal with psychos.
Ooh, who wrote that line? Ooh.
Stallone. But listen to him at the first of it, Jeff. You missed this. This is the intro of the movie. I want to hear him talk like this.
There's a burglary every 11 seconds. An armed robbery every 65 seconds.
Hey, but that gun is pretty badass, though. I will admit that. I like the gun.
I like how the hammer's like cocked back.
Yeah, like he's going to shoot his dick off.
I'll take you out. I'm tired of you. Tired of all this.
I will say this: that
Hey,
voice
Tony.
that he does, voice that he does. Some of the guys that I used to work with, guys that I think had low self-esteem, maybe, they would talk like that on the radio. They would try to be like, "Oh, 2 days before I'll be en route, code 3." You know, and it's like, come on, stop it.
Did anybody ever try to act like Danny Glover and go, "I'm getting too old for this shit"?
I did. I said that quite a few times. Towards the end of my career, I'm like, I'm too old for this shit.
Then you kind of be like, you know what? When you started, you probably identified with like Riggs, but then when you get like, you're like, now I kind of like identify with Murtaugh a little bit. Now I know what he was saying. I am too old for this.
But that's most cops. They start out and they get their feet under them and they start to understand and know what they're doing, get some confidence, know the law, know how to not violate civil rights.
Yeah.
And then you're a hunter, you're a go-getter, you're young, you're full of all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, fast forward 10 years, bumps and bruises and a couple of IAs and
maybe
sued a few times
or something,
stuff like that. And then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? It's better to talk people into handcuffs.
Yeah,
it's easier that way.
Instead of running and
you're more
gunning
chill.
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got some more one-liners here from Stallone. Here we go.
You're a disease, and I'm the cure.
That's the best one right there.
You're the disease, and I'm the cure. I wish I had a match for putting my mouth right now. They do a skit on Saturday Night Live about 6 years ago, and they had a guy that was like a short guy that kind of will put you in Ryder Stallone with, and he had it with in there with a matchstick in his mouth, and he was with what's her name? She's in the Old Guard. She was in the Monster. What's her name? Charlize Theron.
Yeah,
and she's like real tall. She's like, yeah, tell him, baby. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get this guy. They call me Cobra. You'll have to look it up later. It's on SNL. Type in SNL Cobra. It'll come up. It's hilarious. And I like his interaction too here. He pulls up in his 1950 Mercury Cougar and or coupe, and these gangbangers are in like a 6'4", like an Impala, and they're like, he just kind of pushes their car out of the way,
Yeah, that was bad.
But then by the next day, they're all home. He's like, hey man, what's going on? They're all buddies now.
Yeah, weird.
And then there's a frightening scene though. There's some of the violence in this movie is almost like this one with the girl, the first victim they show. It's like a horror movie to me. You know what I mean? It's like I got a horror movie feel to it. I guess so. I have to give him for that. It was kind of terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the New World Gang.
Yeah, the New World Order guys, I guess.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about Hollywood Hogan. We're talking about not the New World Order, the New World.
That was actually a pretty good shot. As they approached, you saw the shadow of the double-headed axe out her window.
Yeah. It was all over the place, this movie.
Crime is a disease, Taylor.
Your mom likes Cobra.
Yeah, dude.
My mom likes Cobra Commander. I don't know. And then I don't really like this movie, to be honest. It's kind of lame. And now we got another one where he's like, okay, as long as we play I don't play by the rules. I don't play by the rules. I'm a lone gunman type guy, right? I'm a
zombie squad.
Zombie squad. I'm Cobra. You don't tell me what to do.
Because as long as we have to play by these bullshit rules and the killer doesn't, we're gonna lose.
How could he take him serious with the matchstick coming out of his mouth?
I know, like at least smoke a cigarette like any normal human. Okay, good God.
But he ends up using it at the end of the movie,
There's another clip in the movie that I couldn't find. I wish I could. Like he goes home after a hard day at the office, after gunning people down and risking people's lives and breaking police procedure. He goes into his and he's got like this great loft apartment. You ever notice in the 80s, all these apartments always have a telescope out the window. He's got a beautiful beach view of Venice Beach. Oh man, like how does he afford this place, right? He's got all this fancy equipment, surveillance cameras, and all. I mean, for the 80s, it was pretty advanced. So he sits down at his desk at his computer to watch TV, and he gets a pizza box and a carton of eggs. He takes a carton of eggs out of the fridge. He takes the pizza box. There's one slice of pizza in it. He cuts the tip of the slice off with a pair of scissors, closes the box, and starts nibbling a little bite. Like, why does he cut it's only one slice of pizza. He cuts it into a mini slice with a pair of scissors. Why? But then you go, what's the eggs for? But then he opens up the egg carton and his gun cleaning kit is in it. There was no egg in it. And he starts cleaning his gun. And I'm assuming this is the kind of guy that sleeps with his gun under his pillow.
Probably.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like they're trying to talk about this guy's. Yeah, this guy's just keeping his stuff razor sharp. You know what I mean? Like iron sharpens iron. And anyway, but then we got another one where like, okay, so Brigitte Nielsen does this modeling gig, right? And the guy that's the photographer actually, I don't know if you remember, there was a short-lived TV series in the 80s. I think it lasted 2 seasons called Sledgehammer.
Yeah, I remember.
It actually made fun of these kind of.
Yeah, I remember that was great. That was a great.
The photographer is the guy that played Sledgehammer. He gets killed, and then so Brigitte Nielsen gets away because the police show up and they have to run. But then they're like, this woman is like trying to tell Brian Thompson's character, you got to kill her because she knows you.
She knows your face. I know where she is.
It's just weird. They're just like always sharpening their
Yeah,
axes.
like, and that, you know what? That was a badass looking knife, though. I have to admit.
It's just really
the-
weird.
That the voice, the whispers that what was it? She knows your face.
Yeah.
Go play it again.
She knows your face. I know where she is.
It's just cool. There's no real character developments or anything. It's just like,
Well, like we said, he edited it down to where it just highlighted his character, and it didn't really matter what this guy's just like a Michael Myers type character. We don't really get any the philosophy of why they're doing this. I mean, we get a short snippet of why they may be doing it. Like
in the end they did, you know.
And then we got another. So here we go. Play another clip.
She's gonna wreck our new world. End the dream. You have to stop her.
Like he needs someone to tell him what to do or something.
Yeah, like I thought he was the one in charge. Yeah,
There's Splinter Cell from the Weatherman.
Is that a silencer? No, it's my own invention. It's a louder. I remember that. And then we got this scene right here is a straight ripoff of the Shining scene where Nicholson, I think it is, where Nicholson, like, you know, comes through the shells the ball with the axe through the door. You can't tell me this isn't reminiscent of that.
Yeah, dude, make some money, you know, rip off other movies.
Why does Stallone run like an alligator?
I don't know. He's really hauling butts.
Like Tom Cruise always runs like this.
You know, but
Tom Cruise always runs like this.
He finds out right on time, even though he's right behind what's happening. You know.
Oh yeah, and they don't. Oh, we didn't have enough police officers in there. Oh, it's okay. She'll be all right. Even though a group of psycho serial killers just tried to kill her. Oh, she'll be all right. We'll put one on top of there. It'll be all right. And then here's the guy that plays Andrew Robinson plays like the jerk police officer. You know, like this guy plays by the rules, man. He's a nerd.
Money. Well, that's just too bad, isn't it? Come on, let's face it. He doesn't give a rat's ass for this girl. She's just another piece of live bait, so King Cobra here can cut a new notch. You've already caused a lot.
Yeah, dude, tell him off. You know.
And this one is just fun because he said, "I know he looks like a fugitive from the 1950s." That's what his partner tells him.
I know. He looks like a fugitive from the 50s, but sure is great at catching psychos. He's a part of the zombie.
He's
probably because he is a psycho.
And he says there he's a part of the zombie squad.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I guess it's kind of like they had to get a psychopath to catch a psychopath, though, kind of thing. Right?
Yeah.
Only a ninja can destroy a ninja. You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
In the real world, the guys that operate like Cobra, they wind up riding in their patrol car by themselves. You just notice these things because it's weird how every other deputy on the team has a use of force incident, maybe, you know, on the average once or twice a week, and that's running kind of high sometimes. Then you have the guy that seems to get into a fight every night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, nobody's his partner, and he winds up in the car by himself. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
Funny
why.
how that works, ain't it?
That's odd.
And now we got another one. He can't sleep because he's too busy cleaning his machine gun, right?
Get to sleep.
Not really.
You should try.
I was awake all night wondering why you were fondling that machine gun instead of me.
Yeah, no shit. We just got married. What's wrong with you?
Well, he eventually gets to it, you know, but she's the one hitting on him.
Oh yeah, but he's like, yeah, I'm too gruff.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, you don't want to be with me.
And then we got here's another ridiculous scene of him standing in the back of the bed of a truck firing a machine gun. He would have got thrown out of the back of this truck.
Why did I go? Go through it! Keep going!
Nice. I like when he's like unloading that machine gun later too.
Yeah, and now we're getting to the final battle scene with the final boss. So
the final boss, baby.
You have the right to remain silent.
I knew that matchstick was coming at some
yeah.
point.
You
got to use that match.
Yeah, he used that trope the whole movie. I knew at some point you knew that match was going to do something, and it finally did. He's like, and you had the right to remain silent, but you probably won't want to because I'm going to burn you alive.
Yeah.
What
I'm
about
not going to arrest you and commit a felony while I arrest you?
Yeah, here's a psycho, this psycho chick. She tells Brigitte Nielsen, "Die, bitch."
Die, bitch. Stop!
There you go.
Die.
Well, problem solved.
Violence against women.
That you know.
And then here, this is a lie. Like this guy's just like, and I mean, they must have like drenched Brian Thompson in water or something to make him look like he's sweating because when he talks, it just like water just flies,
bubbling out.
Let's bleed, pig.
Yeah, dude.
Let's bleed.
The whole thing was pig this, pig that, pig.
He talks like this. And then we got this one. Just says this clip just says grunting. That's all it says.
Come on, pig.
Yeah, see that hook though?
You know what else though? Of course, the end of it, like he's getting ready to blow him away, right? He's like, I'm going to kill you, you know. And then all of a sudden that woman jumps in, so he doesn't have the gun no more, right? So he has to knock her out again. So then he has to fight him mano a mano, right?
That's right.
It's the only way we can end this movie.
Yeah.
You know, he should have shot him instead of talking about it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we got another little.
No, that's when he says your history, right, or something like that.
Yeah. So then he puts him on the hook, right? And it's like factory. They're in like a steel factory that just raises him up and all that. And, and so he's dead. And then he finds Brigitte Nielsen's like, "Oh, you all right? Come on."
Okay. Sure. Let's get out of here.
He's such a
Do
gentleman.
you think if like he wasn't wearing those big boots with the heels on it, she would totally have been taller than him, right?
Yeah. He had those leather big boots, man.
Yeah, he had it because like she's taller than him. There's just no doubt about it. That might have been why they got divorced. Let's
That's
be honest.
great. He's a gentleman.
Probably kill his ego.
After
so then he goes like he sees his old partner. We think his partner's dead, right? Officer Gonzalez. But no, he says, "No, man. You know what? I would kill for something right now." But it's funny what he wants. He almost died, and here's what he wants, though.
I would kill for some gummy bears.
Gummy bear.
Yeah, he's telling because Sly was telling him you need to eat better, you need to snack better.
Oh, you mean coming from the guy that ate like a little triangle of pizza that he cut with scissors? Coming from that guy, yeah. It's I don't know. I don't really need it.
That was the banter about his eating habits.
And then we got another little classic scene here, I guess. I wouldn't call it classic, actually.
No hard feelings, pal.
Yeah, Cobra ain't having it, dude.
And then, of course, the hero and his lady ride off in the sunset on his iron steed.
Yes.
They live happily ever after.
You bet.
Until he
Car
gets
was
charged
cool.
with police brutality in another year.
Ready, Marion?
Catchy name, is it?
Oh, his motorcycle.
After he hated his own name.
Yeah. Brian Thompson played the alien bounty hunter from X-Files.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was cool in that. I like that. I love X-Files, though. I'm very partial to X-Files, even though it was up and down and bad.
Well, it's time to give this movie a review. And remember, when reviewing this movie, you have to take into consideration that this is bad cinema. So we give it 1 out of 5 of this little guy, Wing Wing, who is the king of bad cinema, in my opinion. He's the prince of bad cinema. So we'll start with Big Jeff. Big Jeff, how many Wing Wings do you give this movie on the bad cinema meter?
In the tradition of bad cinema, I would say that Marion Cobra-Setti or whatever, I think he's earned a solid 3 wings with this turd. Because there's just so many bad cinema tropes in it, so I give it 3.
All right, what say you, Soccer Product?
So 5 is the worst, right?
No, 5 is
1
the
is
best.
the worst.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's some good one-liners though, like that were bad, like when she asked him, hey, you seem so angry right now, and he told her that he's always looks this way before breakfast.
Yeah.
And and stuff like that. But I would have to say just the matchstick and the mouth thing. It's like that brings it down so far because there's no way you could take this guy serious. So I'd give it two wings. I like that line though, that we're the future, and he goes, no, you're history.
Look, I love this movie as a kid. I mean, I watched a lot of stuff I probably shouldn't have been watching in 1986, especially with the video store. But like, oh, okay, it's okay for him to rent that. He's 10 years old; it'll be all right, right? But I don't know. I mean, I try not to look at it through a nostalgic lens because I remember liking this movie. I went around for 2 weeks after watching this movie with a matchstick in my mouth, going around with my BB gun.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I thought I was Cobra for about 2 weeks. Of course, I did that when Beverly Hills Cop, first time I saw it, though, I did that too. I thought I was Axel Foley. So I wanted to be Axel Foley. I'm going to give it 3.
Yeah.
Well, I think the video montages too were so bad that they were good. You know what I mean? Like those spliced scenes and the bad 80s music, those.
Oh, that music montage. Yeah, that's just
those are worth watching just to have a good laugh.
It's like a music video in the movie, in the middle of the movie.
80s bad.
I think a lot of the 80s movies that did that because MTV was a big thing back in the day, right? So you want to have a music video montage type thing, for the younger crowd. I believe that's why they did that. And I kind of enjoyed it though, really. But I mean, it's for what it is. It's not that bad, but it's not that good. But before we go, I guess we should preview next week's episode of Bad Cinema. It's going to be, and next week's episode of Bad Cinema, believe me, is going to live up to the name Bad Cinema. I'm serious. We're going to have trouble getting through this one. I'm probably going to have I'm going to have to make my cousin suffer through watching this one with me because I don't think I can watch this one alone. And the grand reveal is next week's Bad Cinema, Jaws, The Revenge.
What number is that?
Number 4.
4.
Okay. It's number 4.
Yeah, you're talking about these.
It's number 10 in like best.
You were talking about all these guys, the Hollywood cops during this era always had these cool apartments, and like the closest one to reality, if you remember the where Riggs lived in Lethal Weapon, that little trailer. Yeah. It was by the beach, so that's pretty.
And it was a Gulf Stream too, so
yeah. But that's more. It was kind of a dark scene, but that's more indicative.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably more accurate than like, you see these guys in these big, beautiful loft apartments. You're like, oh, I don't know about that. But anyway, guys, I'd like to thank everybody for watching.
Cool.
Yeah, Jaws 4. Yeah, the funniest quote I think of Jaws, he gives it 2.5 wing. Okay. The one thing that's funny, the funniest quote from Jaws 4 is not from the movie. It's from an interviewer that interviewed Michael Caine. And he said, what are your feelings about Jaws 4: The Revenge? And he said, I have fond memories of that movie because it paid for my house.
Exactly.
They're just actors. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, these guys are doing a job.
Yeah.
And sometimes you take a job for the money, right? And sometimes you take a job for the art. And it's just, I'm sure musicians do that too. I'm sure that like Leonard Skinner, probably at the end of the day didn't like playing Freebird that much because they played it so much.
Oh my God.
Probably liked other songs better. But like I'm sure a lot of rock bands and actors are like that. Like, I don't really like that movie, but it did pay for my house, or it paid for my Maserati or whatever, or my $2,000 a week cocaine habit. But it don't matter. It's either way.
Radiohead hates "Creep." That song.
I know they can't stand it. Yeah, they can't stand it. Well, guys, I guess we're going to end it. I have a Whatnot sale at 2 p.m. Eastern, so that's in about 15 minutes. So I better get to cracking.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I just want to say, I'd like to thank Aaron and Jeff for coming on with me again. And you'll see us next week when we do, like we said, Jaws for the Revenge. But I guess we've come to the end of our show. But remember, just because it's bad doesn't mean it's not good.
Come, son of Jarrell! Kneel before Zod! Snoochie boochies.